Hi everyone, and welcome to a quick video response on a reply that Panasonic gave to a YouTuber on the autofocus system on the GH5. Now, I will tell you that before we go any further, I'll just point this round so you can see it. Basically, to focus this video, I put the camera into manual on the switch at the back, not on the lens, and I dragged the square box over my face, it beeped, and then I was focused, I got the peaking, and I hit record. So on this video, there's no going in and out of focus, not unless I move, but anyway, beside that. Now, this video is going to quickly start on autofocus, but it's not an autofocus video. Then I'm going to have a little rant of how all the companies out there are shagging us all up the arse. Right, so before we go any further, Panasonic's reply is basically most of the focus issues are down to people not, basically user error. I think the word was user error. I will post a link down to the guy's video. They're saying most of it is user error, so it's not their focus system, it's just people like me who ain't got a clue what I'm doing. Now, they've also issued a statement that you should put it in single point, and if the camera doesn't focus like it does, we all know it does in face detection especially, sometimes you'll see it hunting around your face and it's following you like a fly round poo-poo, but there's no focus, it just didn't focus in. And what they're saying is, if you half press the shutter, that will help. Now, I already know that actually will help. But why are you half pressing the shutter? It's autofocus, Panasonic. Auto, mate. You don't press nothing. It's automatic. You don't start pressing buttons. If you're going to do that, you might as well just flick the switch to manual focus, get your peaks on and focus. Autofocus means it automatically does it. Not that now I have to run up to my camera and press my shutter button on my camera to focus. Anyway, what a load of bullshit that is. And that's an absolute lame excuse, and it's bollocks. It's absolute bollocks. And they also made a statement that they've contacted somebody in Japan or whatever to see if it can be tweaked in a firmware update, whether it's an hardware issue or a software issue. So my question to you, Panasonic, is what are you looking into that for if it's everybody else that's an idiot that don't know how to use your focus system? End of. And I will also say to you, Panasonic, why have you brought out a camera in 2017 and you've really screamed all your reps? I mean, they've all gone on about this fantastic autofocus and it just don't work right well. And stop blaming users, because that won't actually do you any favours, especially when a lot of the reviews that I've seen, I'm subscribed to these people and I know that they're not idiots, as they probably know I'm not an idiot, and we all know how to use these cameras. Don't get me wrong, you get new cameras and sometimes these are new settings that you don't know about. I'm not saying that, but what I am saying is that your settings aren't new. You think they're new, and your reps were saying how great these two extra settings are with the AF speed and the AF tracked and locked on setting. But I've said it before in my previous video, it's old hat, pal. Really old hat. So don't be getting excited about it. End of the day, AF speed is the speed of your focus, and the other one at the bottom is how much it's prepared to lock onto a subject and let go and go to another. That's it. Honest to God, a 4-year-old could probably understand it. Like my 6-year-old daughter is intelligent, and I know that I could teach those two settings. So end of the day, stop getting excited and think that you've got this big powerful thing that nobody would ever understand without going to college and uni, and you've got to be like the dog's nuts to get it right. You haven't. It's dead easy to understand. It's easier than picking up this thing and going, whee! That's it. Stop getting excited about it. It's piss easy to use. You've just messed it up and there's a problem somewhere. Now, that's my little rant over. And I'm going to say, obviously, Panasonic, I love my GH5, I love my G80, I love my G7. They're all really good cameras, do you know what I mean? And they ain't only you guys that bring out stuff that don't work properly. And to be fair, in your defence, everything else about the camera is stunning, which I know I've not talked about that yet, but I am going to in up and coming videos in how stunning everything else is. And nothing that comes out especially since I've been doing videography, photography, is perfect, which I think is a bit crap really, because there's no reason really why your autofocus couldn't be nailed considerably better. There's no reason why you couldn't put a bigger sensor in it. It's down to personal preference, but that would have also given us better low light performance. And between better low light performance, I mean, to be fair, for a Micro Four Thirds sensor, it is good. I'm not knocking that. But if the AF had just been a bit better, or up to standard in 2017, I'll word it like that, then this could have been the camera of the century. And it was meant to be. I mean, before it came out on paper, I was blown away at the specs and what it did. And now, I'm not fully upset. I'll get by with it. Like I say, there's workarounds, and hopefully you did mention when you did that reply to this bloke that there may be a firmware update that can help it, which is great, and I understand that you're going to do that, and I'll thank you very much for doing it. And I know Photo Joseph and Max Jervik do a video coming out later today, and they've also played with these settings, and will gladly watch their videos. Well, I've done it myself, but I am very busy at work. They've probably played with it a lot more than me, and we'll try those, and hopefully it'll be a little bit better. But I will assure you that it won't be fixed, because it cannot be fixed with those settings, because I've played with those settings and they're not. There's only like one or two little combinations that actually work. The rest seem shit. They just don't do it. It just jumps all over the place and hunts, and there's just a couple that work, a couple of little combinations. So hopefully you'll fix that in a firmware update. But I am going to say also that Sony, I must admit, when this happened to me, I jumped on the internet and I was really tempted, because this GH5's faulty. Basically, when you flip the screen out and you twist it forward, if you pull it right forward like that, you stay upside down. If you push it back a couple of mil, then you go back the right way up. But it's annoying, because when you're doing a vlogging video, you forget, like now, and I'll flip it out and come and sit down and realise I'm upside down. But anyway, Jessops are going to swap it when one finally comes in. But I was contemplating just taking it back and getting a Sony a6500. Now I know you're not bothered. You think you're just one person. Take it back if you want. And this isn't a video to say you're being Sony, whatever. But I looked at the Sony. I looked at the ISO, and obviously we do weddings. And I thought, wow, this is stunning. I looked at the focus. Now, yeah, a lot of people have commented on some of my videos saying you don't need autofocus, and you don't in a lot of circumstances. But with us being wedding videographers, sometimes something will take place and it's handy to have it, because if it works, like the bride coming down the aisle and stuff like that, it's handy to have and using the glide cam, it's handy to have it if it's going to work. Do you need it all the time? Probably not, no. I did a wedding with it the other day, by the way, and the first ever wedding with the two GH5s, and they performed great. It was a bit of noise on the video. It was really low light. I think my friend were at 6400 ISO, because that was just how it was. But, you know, that's not your fault. And they performed okay. We both jumped into manual focus, and the footage was stunning. So, yeah. But the Sony, looking into the Sonys, they're great, but they overheat. So, I mean, I just can't understand what you guys are doing. I know Sony may never watch this video, but what are you playing at? Who's letting people bring out a broken camera? I mean, let's put it this way, Panasonic. Yours ain't broke, it's just not great at autofocus for video, or continuous autofocus. I'll rephrase that, because I think it's good at snapping into focus, but actually holding it is another thing. But I can understand why you'd release that and get away with it. It's fine. It ain't fine by me. You should have made it better, but it is fine. But I don't understand how Sony can bring out this camera. It's known to overheat, and the government, whoever, if I was in the government, I'd step straight in and pull every one of them off the shelves and say, give everybody the money back. Because you're actually ripping somebody off. You are selling them a faulty good. If it overheats, it's faulty. It's not a video camera. A video camera's a video camera. You should be able to hit record, and it should record as long as you want it to record. Not let it record for 20 minutes, give it 10 minutes to cool down, then turn it back on again. It's an absolute joke that they can get away with that. But I will tell you now, if they fix that overheating problem, which they seem to have had for years, but it's slightly getting better, I'd swap tomorrow. I really would, because I've just looked into them Sonys, and because of the bigger sensors and the autofocus and stuff like that, it's chalk and cheese difference between Panasonic and those. But at the minute, Panasonic don't overheat. They've got the recording limit sorted now on the GH5. I love the dual card slots. I do like the GH5. Personal preference. It's only me. This is not a fault with a camera or knocking it. I would like to see a bigger sensor as well. I'd like to see the GH5 with better autofocus and a bigger sensor, and I think it'd be the perfect camera for me. Now I know you're not always going to, but the Sony a6500, it doesn't do 4K 60. I wish it did that and didn't overheat, and I'd have it tomorrow. I'd take this back. In fact, I'd go now. I'd flick this video off, won't even upload it to YouTube. Boom, straight out of Jessop's A6500, thank you. And that'd be me swapped. But unfortunately, I think the Panasonic at the minute is winning the war for me. But I can honestly say that I am looking at a Sony. If Sony, you can perfect your overheating, and hopefully in the new camera, which should come out this year, maybe the 6700, 7000, whatever you want to call it, you should put 4K 60 in it. You should really have a screen that flips out, like the GH5 or GH4 and G7s and all that lot. I think if you can bring that out so that the screen flips out and you can get 4K 60, and maybe internal 10-bit as well, that'd be great. But if not, it doesn't matter. I'll give you a tip. Make your camera body bigger. Stop making it tiny. Make it bigger so that it can disperse the heat. If it's big, that's fine, as long as it ain't like this. But if it's as big as GH5, that's all right, as long as it doesn't overheat. I'm sure every customer that's ever bought a GH5 and had it overheat on them would gladly have a slightly bigger product as long as it didn't overheat. Nobody's going to moan about it. Nobody's going to cry about it. But people will cry. It's like with the GH5. A lot of people are really upset about its autofocus. And unfortunately, when something bad is upsetting somebody on a camera, they do overlook the good. And the GH5, I'll say it again just before and then I'm off, everything else but the autofocus in video mode, the continuous focus, is stunning. I know that 422 8-bit and 10-bit has been slagged off too, but I think that once they bring out the new 400 megabit all-intra codec, I think that's when 10-bit will really shine, because it's not being compressed as much. I don't know if I covered this in another video, but basically, before your video gets put onto the memory cards, it gets edited and compressed by the camera. So if you've got an 8-bit file and a 10-bit, then the camera's adding quite a bit more compression onto the 10-bit, and obviously it might not look a great deal better unless the compression that's been added isn't quite as much. And when we get the 400 megabit all-intra codec, it's a better codec. It won't squeeze that nice extra bit of information that you've got quite as hard, and hopefully then, I'm not going to use it, to be fair. May use it for a YouTube video, but I won't use it for a wedding, it's too big. But, you know, then I think it'll shine, and that's where you'll see it. I only think that, I don't know that. I just do know how codecs work, and I'm pretty confident that that will help. So Panasonic, stop telling people lies, get a firmware update out, which I know you'll do anyway, and try and make it a bit better. It is what it is, isn't it? You know what I mean? It's just, like I say, it's very, very upsetting that you really praised it. It's one of the features that was praised more than any other feature on the camera. Everywhere you went was this new focus, and I think that's why you're getting such an hard time about it, because you praised it. If you'd not really mentioned it that much and just brought out the camera and been bragging about 6K photo mode and 4K 60 and the new screen and the dual card slots, I don't think you'd have quite got as much past it as you have over it. It's because you've praised it. You've praised this autofocus, and now it's letting people down, and people have bought it for this nice autofocus, and it is letting people down. And Sony, if you're watching the video, or you ever do watch the video, then sort this overheating out. I mean, to be fair, you shouldn't even be releasing cameras that overheat to people anyway. There should be a big sign on front of it in red saying, do not buy this shit. It overheats, it's shit. You are wasting coin. Go to Panasonic and buy the GH5. Don't focus very well, but it's still better than ours. In a bit, thanks for watching. Please comment and subscribe.